Hello, I hope you're all very well today. Let's talk again about Marxist philosophy. For a long time, I was planning to make a video about Max Stirner's philosophy of egocentrism. To you, it is probably known from the philosophy of Ayn Rand, who has influenced Western society a lot. And before that, this philosophy of egocentrism has been represented in the existentialism, for example, the initial stages of it at least, also in parts of Nietzsche. Raskolnikov in Dostoevsky's novel Crime and Punishment is a good representative of that. And even in an article by Oscar Wilde, The Soul of Man Under Socialism, I think it was. I will leave a link down there if I can find it. So I was planning to make a video about this philosophy, especially how Marx criticized it and explained why it is untenable for making a good society. But I thought, in order for Marx's criticism to become clear, I will have to, before that, explain his theory of the alienation of man from labor and from the products of labor. But before that, I will have to talk about what he said about the division of labor and that it caused the appearance of private property and alienation. And but to reach to that stage, first I will have to make a detour to a program on the television that I saw last night. It was a program that I had been expecting for a long time. It is the first episode of a documentary with Stephen Fry. The title was The Planet Word, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing videos with that program on YouTube, and so should you. It is a very interesting program about language, and at one time Stephen Fry describes how humans have a great advantage, having language, of exchanging information, getting information, and even transmitting information to future generations, which even our closest cousins on the evolutionary tree, the primates, don't have. And at one time he explains that humans, in order to organize themselves in hunting and to do hunting together, needed language. And I think that he missed a step here, because in order to do hunting, people needed to have tools for that. They needed to have made, through labor, arrowheads, spears, and so on. So, thinking about it, Marx is right that the thing that distinguishes humans as a species most from the other animal species is labor. And labor is the way humans use nature, get into a practical interaction with nature in order to satisfy their elementary needs, to make their sustenance, and to prolong their life as a species. So what is consciousness? Human beings are the way they live, and because they can live only if they produce what they need to live, the humans are their production, they are their way of production as well. So consciousness is the reflection of their way of life. With this, Marx criticized Hegel, who proposed an ideal self-consciousness which externalized itself into the real world and then assimilated this externalization, and then it became richer and reached the stage of the absolute. But Marx said that consciousness is what people are. But Marx stated that consciousness arose from people's lives, from their labor, their cooperation in that labor, and afterwards, of course, the division of labor and so on. That is what, to him, determines consciousness. And that is what consciousness is. So after people had started producing the things that they needed to live, with the increase of population, division of labor appeared because it was more effective. And only through the division between the practical manual labor and intellectual labor, consciousness could imagine that it determines itself, and only then such abstract spheres of thinking appeared as philosophy, theology, and so on. In addition, the ruling thoughts of an era became separated from the people who were ruling at that era, and that is how philosophy, theology appeared. And that is how the profession of the ideologue was born. And you remember from a previous video of mine, the ideologues are philosophers, theologians, makers of political programs, lawyers, and so on. So from everything that I said up to here, it can be seen that the ego is a social product. It cannot be viewed as separate from everything else in the universe. And that was what Max Stirner was positing, that the ego is entirely self-sufficient and shouldn't be dependent on anything else that the society places above it, like the general good, the state, or God, and so on. So my next video will be about Max Stirner's philosophy of egocentrism and Marx's criticism of it. Bye!